Back, Madam Chair.
Mr. Ellsworth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for your hard work that you're about to undertake and have. I know it's, one of you talked about seamless coordination. I know that's very difficult, especially when you're talking that many layers of government and then to the people and then private industry. I'd like to take a little different line. Has there been any discussion of doing absolutely nothing, of staying out of it and letting it handle itself? It may not be that bad, may not come here. There'll be a few cases, and we just keep our nose out and let it handle itself. And let me ask you, Mr. McGaugh, go back. You said you talked to NAM and the chambers. Have they said, "Don't worry about us, we'll take care of ourselves"?
No. They've been a true partner from the beginning. The dialogue that the department's had with those organizations across a spectrum of challenges in the homeland arena really paid dividends, and all the planning that went on during the avian flu discussions of 6 and 7, that paid dividends as well. When we, in April, when this first arose, those were some of the first conversations we had were with those organizations, because the reality in trying to reach out to the millions of businesses and people that are potentially impacted requires immediate coordination and communication, and that organizations like NAM, the Chamber, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, they can immediately put solid information in the hands of decision makers broadly. And we saw a substantial amount of open rates on emails. So the immediate communication between our organizations was pretty significant. I have an op tempo of, we went from 100 participants to 518 participants to 1,100 participants on conference calls over 4 days. So just us using our standard incident command structures, we were able to get information on immediately out to those businesses. So standing by and doing nothing was never part of the calculation.
Well, you know, we read the Constitution quite a bit. I'm sure you all have had the pocket constitutions and page through those. I've never seen H1N1 mentioned in any of the articles or any of the text of the Constitution. And yet, do you think that the American people expect government to do something in this and not just stay out of it? Would you say that that's an expectation the American people have? That government is prepared to do something in this to be prepared for H1N1?
I think the administration's view is that protecting the health and safety of the American public is extremely important. We actually this summer did public engagements, 10 cities or towns around the country, to talk to Americans about what was important to them from the government on this particular threat, knowing that we don't know everything, that we don't know if it'll be worse than the spring, if it'll affect their own communities. And what we heard was an expectation that protecting health was important to people and that this was something where government had an important role. So, you know, I think that there is a strong feeling that this is something that is really important. It would be wonderful if we work really, really hard and seamlessly and it's not a bad year, but I don't think we can hope for that.
Right. I'm making my comments tongue-in-cheek. I hope you realize that at this point that we heard a lot over the last 30 days about government keeping its nose out of the people's business, let the market handle it, let people do their own thing. We should stay out of things and things would be much better. If we did nothing, what do you expect? You know, I'm hearing about GDP, a percentage of GDP, the economy, all the things that if this turns sour, which it very well may, if we did nothing, didn't you anticipate that the American people would then turn on government the other way and say, you fumbled this and you weren't prepared, and this is something why we want our government to get involved? What would happen if we just let it go?
Well, I think that there's our actively doing nothing is very hypothetical, but the reality is that without applying the science of what we've learned to the problem, I think we would have worse problems from the disease than what the disease would cause on its own. You know, we saw in the spring a lot of fear, a lot of altered behavior, not all of it constructive, and by learning what this virus was doing and what was effective in intervening and what wasn't effective, we could direct people to effective interventions. We could make a vaccine. We could learn how better to intervene in schools in a way that was sustainable for our communities and healthier for our families. So I think that If government weren't there, there would be a lot of activity and disease and bad impact, but there would also probably be a lot of unintended consequences of people reacting to the problem.
Madam Chair, can I just close the comment? I agree 100%. I commend you for your hard work. As somebody formerly in emergency services, there were a lot of things we prepared for. Hoped we never had to use tornadoes, natural disasters, floods, that people were glad we were there when the bad things hit. Thank you very much.
Ms. Dahlkemper.
Thank you, Chairwoman.